The Rice Commission on Women was founded in March of 1987 by the president of Rice at the time, George Rupp. President Rupp had recently read a 1986 report by the Association of American Colleges entitled "The Campus Climate Revisited: Chilly for Women Faculty, Administrators, and Graduate Students." This report emphasized the discrimination that took place against female faculty and staff members at various universities around the country. Rupp founded the commission to address some of those concerns, and it originally consisted of 8 female faculty members and 8 female staff members. The fact that this commission included staff members was revolutionary for its time. As one of the original members, Mary McIntyre, said, "I think it was the only commission in the country that involved both the faculty and the staff women." Some of the other members in the founding group were Hallie Poindexter, who was the head of the commission for 3 years, was a 1947 Rice graduate and served as the head of the kinesiology department for 20 years. She also worked to establish women's intercollegiate athletics at Rice. Nancy Booth, who was the director of the Woodson Research Center, Sarah Burnett, a professor of psychology, Linda Driscoll, a professor of English, Priscilla Houston, director of the Institute for Computing Services and Applications, Elizabeth Long, professor of sociology, Mary McIntyre, dean of continuing studies, and Linda Quady, administrative assistant to the dean of humanities. The commission's charge was finalized in the fall of 1987. The commission will explore and evaluate issues relating to Rice women, especially in areas where inequities may exist, formulate specific recommendations to the administration based upon its analysis, and educate the Rice community about behaviors and attitudes that operate to the detriment of women. The ultimate goal of the commission will be to ensure a positive environment for women on campus. On September 18, 1987, the Rice Thresher announced the Commission's designation of 7 task forces: salary, promotion and employee review practices, campus visibility, campus climate, benefits, part-time employees, and hiring practices.
The commission was called RUCOW for short. Hallie Poindexter joked that, of course, people had a lot of fun calling it the cow business. In 1988, the 7 task forces of the RUCOW came together to publish the 1987-1988 Task Force Report, which consolidated each team's findings and recommendations into one comprehensive account. This compilation of work conducted by the task forces conveyed their findings, which were sourced from numerous meetings, research, and investigations. The report highlighted 5 themes and 4 areas of concern that permeated throughout all of the results, and included a 2-year recommendation that sufficed to reconcile issues witnessed by specific task forces. Mary McIntyre noted that she thought the report may have been the first major one that was done for women. The 5 themes the report highlighted were too few women in top positions of authority and decision-making, inadequate personnel procedures, inequality in the university salary system, inadequate staff and resources in the Affirmative Action Office, and lack of record-keeping and information systems necessary for monitoring the status of women, making decisions, and forming policy. The 4 areas of concern were policies for part-time workers, equal pay for equal work, benefits allocation, and campus safety and physical facilities. The report also gave recommendations to improve the campus for women. They were separated into 2 categories, difficult and easy. The easy tasks suggested improvements and changes that did not require complete reworking of present systems. The difficult tasks involved reworking existing structures conceptually and making a concentrated effort to change them, but these tasks would take a longer time to enact. The 2-year recommendations. Allow COW to hire consultants to do a study on faculty salaries to explain the inequities, increase participation of staff in university standing committees, publish a brochure discussing sexual harassment based on campus climate survey that revealed that many Rice students had experienced sexism on campus, to give the entire Rice community and develop educational programs about it.
In 1990, the Commission decided new members were needed to renew efforts and sustain the Commission's ability to focus on different issues regarding inequalities and to ensure a positive work environment for women on campus. The transition to adding new women to the Commission required existing members to remain as guides for how the group should operate. The new members were announced in a memo distributed both in English and Spanish, helping to accommodate for the language barrier present in the Rice community. New faculty members included Lily C. Chen from the Linguistics Department, Naomi J. Hallas from the Electrical Engineering and Computations Department, Helen E. Lagino from the Philosophy Department, Susie Laurie from the English Department, Carol E. Quillen from the History Department, along with Paula Sanders from the History Department. Iwa M. Thompson from the German and Slavic Studies Department, Mary F. Wheeler from the Mathematical Sciences Department. New staff members also included Mary M. Brown from the Liberian University Store, Barbara A. Udy from the Office of the Vice President in Student Affairs, Patsy S. Kambu from the Foreign Affairs Office, Lorraine McKay from the Health and Human Body Sciences, and Ruth M. Parks from the Office of Natural Sciences. Last but not least was Velma L. Ray from Payroll Office. During the 90s, the RUCOW looked into the need for child care for faculty members and suggested creating access to a facility for child care needs. This initiative was spurred by the demands from female Rice employees and an investigation into their child care usage at the time. The findings concluded that the position of RUCOW was to make the argument for the need, and that the job of the committee was not necessarily to supply the exact logistical details of how such a resource would work. RUCOW included in their proposal that the childcare facility chosen by Rice should be accessible not just only to faculty, but also to staff employees. RUCOW also made recommendations to expand the program that allows Rice employees to take one undergraduate class per semester tuition-free to also include graduate courses in 1993. Doing so would bolster the skills of current employees and improve retainment. Finally, RUCOW attended conferences such as the March 1994 Conference for the National Association of Women in Education, and used the information from those conferences to make suggestions for the commission back at Rice.
In 1998, the newly populated Commission on Women conducted a follow-up report to their one published in 1988. President Gills wanted to know how the issues brought up in 1988 had changed or remained the same over the 10 years that had gone by. The 1998 report showed that several improvements had been made. Over 65% of administrative office positions were now held by women, compared to 28% from 1977 to 1987. 12% of top university administrators were women, compared to 4.4% from 1987 to 1997. However, the Commission found that there was still significant room for improvement. Underrepresentation of women as senior faculty members was still an issue, and the percentage of women among the Board of Governors remained unchanged and very low. Also, men were more than twice as likely to receive tenure than women and were promoted in shorter amounts of time. The RUCOW came forth with several key recommendations to remedy the problems they found. 1. Hire more female faculty members. 2. Conduct research into representation and treatment of women in the athletic department. 3. RUCOW should highlight achievements of women by sponsoring a lecture series. 4. RUCOW should study visibility of female students.
Though the commission disbanded in the late 1990s, the progress they made during their 10-year run was evident. They worked to make the issues that female faculty members at Rice faced more visible on campus, and, as shown in their 1998 report, caused more women to be hired to Rice faculty and staff than ever before. In his early days as president of Rice, David Lebron established a new advisory group that will counsel the president and provost on issues facing women faculty. Though this group is not called the Commission on Women, it certainly takes its mission from the RUCOW, signifying that the group's work will not go unnoticed and that it has left a lasting legacy at Rice University.